Hi, I'm Harrison Third, and I am here to justify why I should be the winner of the Emerging Leadership Award for 2022. In 2019, I started Cairns Pressure Blasters at 15 years old. I didn't have much experience, I didn't have much opportunity, but I was determined to make something of the opportunity that I did present for myself. At the time, I may not have had the best equipment. I may not have had the best licenses. In fact, I didn't even have a driver's license at this time. But I did want to make something of this opportunity. However, the business grew far larger than what I had anticipated initially, and I was able to make something more of the opportunity than even I had anticipated. As I grew, I started offering more services. I joined groups such as BNI, Chamber of Commerce, Trading Mates. I joined the Young LNP as a political growth. I upgraded the equipment. I expanded the business. I did more marketing, and that was my experience in business for about the first year. I eventually started Townsville Pressure Blasters in 2021, which was a really unique experience for me. It was my first time that I'd ever ran any sort of staff remotely and had ever ran a business remotely. It was a very good experience from the point of view that I had learned that there were a lot of challenges, especially when it comes to dealing with staff who aren't individually accountable to a physical person. So it was a very interesting endeavor, and hopefully it continues to go well into the future. I've also sponsored events such as the Cairns Saints raffles, the Freshwater Fate raffles, the World's Greatest Shave. I've taken part in the Ironman as a volunteer. I've taken part in the marathon as a participant I ran the 42 kilometers. I've done federal election work at the 2022 election. It's all been very, very fantastic as part of getting involved in my community. Now, I would like to show you a video of somebody who's one of my customers, Claudio, who has something to say about me.
Hi everyone, this is Claudio from Freeman's Residential in Cairns. Today I want to talk about Cairns pressure blasters. We use them for fuel property before listing the property on the market for sales. Mainly they pressure clean the driveways, so sometimes the roof or the outdoor areas, or even the outside walls of the property. Harris always did a great job. He always did a professional quotes, he did a professional job in time, and he's always been providing great results. At Freeman's, we highly recommend Harris for any of the pressure cleaning jobs.
As an emerging leader, I would hope that I demonstrate a variety of leadership qualities, and I believe I do. Firstly, one that speaks for itself is I got into business early. I started business early, which I think really stands me out from the crowd as in accordance to my peers. I started business at 15 years old. I'm now 18. I think that speaks for itself as an emerging leader, as someone who's got a bit of get up and go about them and always wanting to better themselves. I'm always looking to make a difference. So things like giving blood to the Red Cross is massive for always wanting to make a difference in others' lives. That blood could be used to save anybody around Australia, even around the world, who is in a car accident or something like that. So it really makes a difference. I'm always genuine, I'm very authentic, and as we'll see in the videos that will be played, I'm a very genuine, very authentic person. I'm true to my word. I'm very reliable on my jobs. I make my quotes clear. I don't just make them a little bit vague so that the customer can't understand or there's any dispute to be able to get a one up on somebody. I'm genuine and I'm very authentic. I'm always looking to help others. I've helped people with starting their own businesses before. I've helped them start a dog walking business. I've helped them start a landscaping business. I've helped a lot of people try to get their own businesses off the ground and not just looking out for my own. I'm always looking to give back to my community. I help out with the Cairns Saints in terms of their raffles, in terms of their cafeteria, in terms of trying to raise funds for the club. I volunteer at the Ironman. I volunteer at Cairns FM 89.1 as a community broadcaster to be able to always make sure that I'm giving back to the community. I'm an effective person. I have a strong amount of a get up and go. Obviously, I started Cairns Pressure Blasters in 2019. About 2 years later, I started Townsville Pressure Blasters. So there's never an end in sight with me. It's always more. It's always got to be better. Got to be better. I don't just settle for less. I'm innovative. I responded to COVID extremely well. It was a scary time for everybody, but instead of just crawling into a shell, I was able to show some leadership and think differently, think outside the square. I put a discount on my driveways. I offered free work to highly visible areas, and I created signage to be able to show people when we were working. Because a lot of companies, a lot of pressure cleaning companies collapsed. They closed business during COVID times because no business was coming in. Instead of that, I decided to take a different approach and put massive discounts and even do free work. And as a result, my business was able to operate through COVID because people could see that I was still operating and one of the few people doing so. I have great communication skills, as we can see with the videos we're about to show. I've always got people who are coming to me for good communication because I've even got set up notifications in my phone to ensure that I do get back to people in a fair and reasonable manner. And lastly, I have fantastic time management skills. I'm in year 12. I'm doing an ATAR course. I've done two certificates. I'm part of the Young LMP. I play AFL. I'm strongly engaged in the community through the marathon, through the Ironman, through radio. I've taken up not one but two branches before. It all takes up time, and I have fantastic time management skills that allow me to be a leader in all circumstances.
One.
Hi, I'm Jai Rook. I met Harrison a couple of years ago when he asked me to work for him at Cairns Pressure Blasters. At the time, the business was very small, it was new, it was starting up, but the work was coming in quick because of Harrison's good skills and his innovative ways of bringing in new clients and building the business. Harrison showed great leadership skills while I was working for him. I noticed that he was a very organised person. When I was working there, he made me feel comfortable and welcome in the workplace. I seen great business growth in the business. As I said before, when the business started, there wasn't a lot going on, but the work coming quick. And with Harrison's business approach with marketing, the clients come in quick and stuck around. Yeah.
Good afternoon, my name is Stuart Gay, Acting Director of Chris Gay Real Estate, providing a professional reference for Harrison Thyrd. Over the years I've dealt with Harrison through a business workplace. He's shown excellence in every aspect that we've required from him, very prompt and assertive to his jobs and providing fantastic communication for the client. I think that would make him an excellent choice for the Emerging Leader Award that he's applied for. All the best, Harrison.
No one can succeed and remain successful without the friendly cooperation of others. That's a great quote from Napoleon Bonaparte, obviously one of the most successful military commanders of all time, and it's a fantastic quote for what we're going to discuss in terms of why it's important to give back to our community. Because you can't succeed without others around you. If you're going to be succeeding, you need other people around you. You need a strong support network. And by giving back to your community, it always shows your appreciation for that work, for your community, whether or not it's direct to the people who've directly helped you, or whether it's indirect to people who you might not know, who are out in the wider community. It's also beneficial to the long-term well-being of the community. You want to inspire others to hold that candle of hope and growth and wanting to do well for each other and not just for themselves. It also helps those who, it also has that paying forward mentality. Those people who I help, they also help others. So it becomes a bit of a flow-on effect. It also gives you a greater chance to inspire others to do well, not just yourself. And especially for an adult, as a person who's an emerging leader, adults can really notice this, and it can really inspire an adult to be able to inspire their own kids and inspire their own other generations of their community. So that's why it's really important to give back to your community, because it gives other people a chance to inspire them.
G'day. My name's Peter Adams. I first met Harry as his football coach when he was under nines. Came along not knowing too much about footy, and he worked hard at his game and developed into a best and fairest in the competition. He faced challenges through that development, and he saw the challenges that he had to overcome, and developed into one of the great players of our side, and then went on to win a best and fairest in the competition. Then he when he turned 15, he started his own business, and we all looked at each other and said, "This is amazing, this kid is unbelievable." And he's had to face challenges in his life. He's the category 1 state of autism, and he's overcome that. He's worked hard with everything he's had to do, and he amazes me every week, every year in sport, in the social community, in social events and charity events around town. He's just completed his first marathon, which we just sort of found amazing. While he was, I think he might have been injured playing footy, and then he had to run it out, and he's kept running. He's a bit of a Forrest Gump. So whatever he's done as a child growing up and as becoming an amazing young adult, everything he achieves now in his business careers, he just keeps going. He just keeps trying new things, and he doesn't give up until he succeeds. And I just find him to be an amazing person, growing into a wonderful adult, and I wish him all the best with his ventures.
There are a variety of ways that the Far North can attract and retain emerging leaders like myself and others. First of all, we need to attract larger companies to Cairns rather than relying on small business. Larger companies provide opportunity for young people to climb the corporate ladder by having these larger firms in Cairns. Otherwise, they have to travel to Sydney, Melbourne or Brisbane to be able to achieve the same level of status as that corporate ladder would otherwise suggest. Large firms also attract more employment in the local community. The demand for the local services that these larger companies provide is astounding. And by attracting large companies to set up their base in Cairns or in the Far North is crucial to attracting and retaining emerging leaders. We also need to diversify the economy away from tourism. We've seen the risk that through COVID that relying too much on tourism brings, because it's a volatile industry. It goes up and down quite dramatically. We need to be able to diversify the economy and focus on other emerging economic opportunities. What about real estate? The regional house prices all across the country are going up. Why don't we focus on more of a real estate level market rather than on a tourism market? It's one option of many, but that would be a good option to have a look at. What about the infrastructure? Infrastructure is massive to be able to attract and retain emerging leaders. It provides an opportunity for developers and does attract those large companies that we were talking about before. If we have a great investment in our infrastructure, in our roads, in our parklands, in our buildings, we will generally see an uptick in these larger companies being attracted to Cairns and more developers being interested in building on blocks of land in Cairns. So that's another way we can attract and retain emerging leaders. And the last one is environmental sustainability, climate change. We need to stop any sort of pollution from staying in Cairns. Cairns doesn't have much pollution at the moment. We need to keep it that way in order to attract these emerging leaders to have the great lifestyle that we do in the Far North. It reduces the heat waves, which also push young people out of Cairns in the Far North. We can't have those heat waves happen too often, otherwise Cairns will become an overly unattractive option for young leaders. There are a multitude of traits that are lacking in the current leadership all around the world. Everything from politics, to business, to the general community, there are a multitude of traits that could be improved in our leaders. First of all, we have a lack of integrity. Think of the reputation of a CEO who cuts the costs, including to their own staff, only to inflate the stock price temporarily and then resigning, only to see it go down after they resign. These people have a lack of integrity because they are only interested in seeing their stock price go up during their time in a leadership position instead of looking for the long-term benefit of a company. It's an example of a lack of leadership and a lack of integrity. Unfortunately, it happens quite often. They're also ineffective. Many leaders are ineffective. Look at politicians. They make big, grandiose promises that they know they can't fulfill, but yet they're happy to put them out there, and when they get into power, they can't do it. They can't do what they promised. They can't do what they said they were going to do. They are ineffective in their leadership position. Many leaders also have a lack of ability to adapt. We live in an ever-changing world, and it's only getting faster by the minute. Many organizations, though, they struggle to move on. A great example is Blockbuster. They struggled to adapt to the emergence of the internet, and eventually they closed down because they couldn't compete with the likes of Netflix. It's an example of a lack of ability to adapt by the leadership structure at Blockbuster, who eventually saw the company's downfall. The last one is a lack of self-awareness. We have many leaders who have a really big ego to fill, and they are only interested in being the most important person in the room. We need leaders who have a better level of self-awareness and not so interested in their ego, in order to be able to make a better leadership decision and a better decision for the group.